Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Humza Yousaf has failed many times at everything he has done. But in one particular way, he has failed worst of all. And he has shown that he is not just unfit for the office of First Minister, he's unfit to represent anyone. Indeed, I think he's unfit to even be a citizen of this country. I am, of course, talking about his personal stance, which is pro the Palestinian marches. Marches designed to be provocative, to show contempt and hatred and loathing for everything that this country stands for. Our culture, our history, our people. To deliberately target Armistice Day shows a contempt below even the most hatred that these people can show. We are honouring the fallen dead, those who fought and paid the ultimate price to build the country we live in today. And these people, who are expounding views of the very people we fought in the Second World War, are marching for the eradication of Jews from the face of the planet and for the promotion of Hamas, a group that is basically a terrorist group that is on that list and that Humza Yousaf so openly supports. It's no wonder, given his wife's family, that he is very much along those lines. But also, generally, his pre-announced hatred of white people doesn't help much either, does it? That's not a good look for a man who is now calling for this group to be pushed, for these marches to go ahead, for these marches that, when they're finished with the Jews, they'll come for the Christians, they'll come for the atheists, they'll come for you name it, they'll come for everyone who isn't of a particular group. Humza Yousaf's group, people like him. It's all part of a march for a greater united world, but united under a particular group that wants us eradicated. That's who this man is. That's who he is. And he is undeserving of the role of First Minister, and we need to have our own Million Man March on Holyrood and demand that Humza Yousaf resigns, or if he refuses to, he must be forced out and maybe shown some street furniture. You know, a lamppost perhaps. We'll take a look at this to see why he hates everyone in this country. He hates our culture. He hates everything about us. Here goes. So Humza Yousaf backs controversial pro-Palestine hate marches on Armistice Day. Because of all the days they choose to do it, it's the one day of that. Because our history and our culture mean nothing to these people. They loathe us. They are contemptuous of everything that we stand for. And yet they're so desperate to remain in this country because they know it is a far better country than anything that they come from. Because they have created the shitholes. They hate their own shitholes. They travel here, they see a nice country, and then they think, but we hate the fact that this is better. Let's turn it into the shitholes that we came from. The First Minister hit out at both Rishi Sunak and Suella Braverman for suggesting that the protest scheduled to be held in London this weekend should be banned due to fears demonstrators will interfere with Remembrance Sunday events. The whole point of them doing it so that they can ultimately show their hate and contempt for us. Humza Yousaf has thrown his support behind controversial pro-Palestinian marches which have been scheduled to take place in London on Armistice Day. This is despite the UK government condemning these plans, and Home Secretary Suella Braverman describing them as hate marches, because that's what they are. They are hate. They're hate for Jews. They're anti-Semitic. These people want to eradicate Jews from the face of the planet. Genocide. That is what Humza Yousaf is supporting. He's supporting genocide. And yet if someone suggested the same thing against his religion, he'd be very much against it. But that's the two-faced, hate-filled nastiness of pieces of shit like Humza Yousaf, a man who now claims to be the First Minister of Scotland and who speaks for Scotland. Does Scotland agree with genocide? Does Scotland want to eradicate people simply for their beliefs? No. Humza Yousaf does. Concerns have been raised about the protest affecting Remembrance Weekend events, which are being held in the capital on November the 11th and 12th. And even the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has indicated he wants it to be banned, as he believes it would be both provocative and disrespectful. And that's the whole point. They want to be provocative, and they certainly have no respect for us, our history, our culture, our people. Everything about us is loathsome to them. And yet here they are, demanding that we bend the knee to them. And I say enough. I say multiculturalism has failed. It's shown to fail. These people will not integrate. They do not want to be British. They do not respect our values. And I think they should be invited to leave, since this country is so awful for them. Yousaf wants the pro-Palestinian marches to go ahead and said he was beyond angry at the UK government's response to them. And he added describing them as hate marches is unacceptable. Well, they are hate marches because these people hate Jews. These people hate white people. They hate us. They hate the West. They hate everything we are, everything that we've done. They hate the fact that this tiny little island, has done so much more good for the world than they ever have in 2,000 years. According to the organisers, demonstrators would not walk past the Cenotaph War Memorial in Whitehall. That's because they wouldn't dare. There's a lot of soldiers, sailors, airmen and marines going to be hanging around. And these are people better versed in, shall we say, personal protection than they ever will be. The First Minister was asked on Monday whether he supported the march going ahead and said, absolutely, I understand the march is taking place after the minute's silence that we will all undoubtedly observe. Not a chance. They will be chanting, they will be disrupting, they will be making sure that they are heard during that minute's silence, because they ultimately do not respect those that paid the ultimate price to form the country in which they are now living. Because these people are scum. They are just shit-filled bags of writhing hate who don't deserve the benefits of living in a modern democratic society, a society of tolerance. They need to go and live in a society of their choosing, one of hate, one of lies, one of disgust, and one of amoral behaviour, because there's no morals in these people. And of course, if the armistice was about anything, he said, my goodness, it's about peace. What would he know about peace? No one attending that armistice has ever been related to or known or done anything with anything like what happened in Israel the other day. And certainly we aren't the sort of people that strap on vests and then go to pieces very quickly. Only one particular group does that, and it isn't us, and it certainly isn't the Jews either. It's only one that's ever done it. What would they know about peace? The Jews aren't cutting the heads off babies. The Jews aren't putting babies in ovens. The Jews aren't going out arring and murdering young innocent women and dragging their bodies through the streets. That isn't what the Jews do. It isn't what we do. Again, one group. One group. Describing those marches as hate marches is disgraceful, he said. It's unacceptable. But it is hate. It's absolutely hate. They hate Jews. They hate the West. They hate us. They hate our society. They hate everything. They are just consumed with hate and loathing, and ultimately also jealousy. They're jealous of what we have because we live in an ordered society where people can get on. Not like their society where everything is put down if you don't get on the knee and beg. He said, frankly, this UK government is unfit for office, and certainly the Home Secretary is unfit for office. No, Humza Yousaf. There is only one politician in this country who is truly unfit for office, and that's you. Because no other politician is calling for the eradication of an entire religion from the face of the planet. Only you. Only you are calling for genocide. So you are the one that is unfit for office. Previously, Ms Braverman said it is entirely unacceptable to desecrate Armistice Day with a hate march through London. If it goes ahead, there's an obvious risk of serious public disorder, as well as damage and giving offence to millions of decent British people. You can spot the decent British people because they don't pray an awful lot. Despite Mr Yousaf's claims that it would be a peaceful march, the protest held in Edinburgh Waverley at this weekend reportedly caused a veteran to pack up his Poppy Scotland stand and leave the premises. I've got a story coming for that later. Yousaf is unfit for office. Yousaf needs to be dragged from Holyrood. He literally needs to be paraded through the streets as a hate-filled, racist, anti-white, anti-Western piece of filth, shown for what he is, and then shown a lamppost. I'll stop and come up. Yousaf is obviously under orders, isn't he? Not under the orders of the people of Scotland, though. No, under the orders of a very small group who happen to live in Scotland. People who won't integrate. People who don't ever consider themselves to be citizens of Scotland, citizens of the United Kingdom. People who think that they're going to win. We cannot let them win. We need to have that million-man march. We need to drag Humza Yousaf from office. We need to show the politicians of this country, not just Scotland, but the whole of Great Britain, that we, the massive people, the many, the very, very many, will no longer tolerate the kind of shit that is being foisted upon us. Which we have to draw the line in the sand. And if that comes to doing some terrible things, I think that's got to be the case. We've got to draw it, we've got to push it, and we've got to say enough is enough, and we will not accept any more of their shit. Time has come. Even my dog agrees. I'm stopping now. Coming up. Done. Finished. See you next